Welcome to Beyond the Roar. This is a show with me, Chris McGuire, and my father, Todd McGuire, talking about life, events, and tragedy. Please join us for all the comedic things we're going to be talking about and all the fun that we're going to have. Enjoy.
I'm gonna eat your chicken fingers tonight.
Welcome to Beyond the Roar. We're glad to have you here today. Joining me is my father. I am playing myself today, and we are going to talk about life.
I'm playing myself too.
We were just discussing murder, not with each other, but or anybody else.
Do you know how much it would take? Gosh, I can't even think like a murderer.
We should release a moisturizer brand.
I don't have it. You know how much it would take after your moisturizer comment to take a little knife and take somebody's life? Do you know how weird that would be? I can't even imagine because I can't think that way.
Yep.
Moisturizer. Why would you want to make moisturizer? We could try it.
I had Aunt Marie in the other day, and we were talking a little bit about that.
My hands need moisturizer.
Apparently, all them big I don't know why all the big companies.
Look.
You guys are wrong.
No, that's just calluses, and that's a working man's hands.
Full of chicken crap.
I had a guy one time shake my hand at a conference, and he was like, pulled his hand back, and he said, "You must work with those hands." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I can feel your calluses." Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah.
Calgon, take me away. But there's nothing wrong with having.
Well, I was thinking for the shop, because I'm doing a lot more services now that require different things. And I didn't know, but there's a lot of money in that. Like if you're making your own products and selling them, do it proper, you can do well.
Your startup, like anything else, because you would have to buy all of your containers and all of your product and then make it. But once that's the same with some things that you can get. I'm thinking, not picnic tables because they're expensive. But a product like that would be really good because then you make a big bowl of whatever and then you scoop it in or however you put it in the little things.
I don't know how they do that.
But anyway, yes.
That's kind of the idea. You got beard balms and stuff. You know how much that stuff costs, even for me?
I can't even imagine.
Just to hold 5 or 10 products here, that's...
Why couldn't you make your own beard balm?
Well, I could. I just have to figure out how to do it.
I already know it's secret.
Well, the issue is the lasting, though, which is, I think, a lot of the reason. Yeah. I've had beard balms here go bad.
Yeah.
You can smell it.
Rancid.
Well, not rancid. They smell like a basement floor because the scent goes away.
Yeah.
And the oil, you could call it rancid. The oil goes rancid, but it just loses anything that's, I don't know how to say that. You just lose anything that smells good. It smells like dust.
Why put dust on your face? I would like to have a beard. Now, the beard balm that you have that I use is it the Grave Before Shave product? Is that? Mm-hmm. Smells so good. One of them that I was using, the one for my mustache, which I don't use very often now, and I probably still should, but I don't because I keep it thin enough. is called Cigar, and it's got a nice fragrance, beautiful fragrance. And then the one that I use in my beard currently is one of the small little tubes. I had the big one, but it's a smaller one, and it smells nice. If a person, I was saying this yesterday, and maybe they already have it, and I just don't know. If you could figure out a way to bottle the smell of natural cedar mulch.
Cedar mulch.
Cedar mulch. You're going to smell it at your house when Ashley goes out and does all the flower beds. I dropped a ton of mulch off to her the other day. That cedar, I was saying that yesterday while I was working at it. And if you could bottle the smell of cedar mulch, that's what a man needs to smell like.
I don't know how you'd even put that. There's cedar wood oil.
Yeah, probably the same.
Juniperius virginiana.
Yeah, probably, whatever that is.
Why couldn't you?
Juniper, Virginia. I'm certain that somebody somewhere has made, and it would have to be natural. I don't want it full of these chemicals and jargon.
That's the trouble. When you make stuff natural, it doesn't last as long.
I know.
So you got to find ways to preserve it.
Like a beard balm, I talked to you one time about it. I said, why couldn't we use bear fat or whatever? And we could if it had a stable shelf life, but it doesn't. And certainly when you leave it out, it would go rancid.
Oh, yeah.
But you would have to use a plant-based product, I'm assuming,
I don't know. That's what I say. I don't know how all this works. And if you're making products, you got to make them to last. I can't make them in here and let them set for 2 years and go bad.
I ordered a product been a few years ago for a diffuser. Mm-hmm. I'd have to check on. Anyway, I ordered it from a company that it was cedar wood and sweetgrass, 2 little essential oils. Mm-hmm. You could create earthy tones and smells from them. Sweetgrass, ho ho ho. I talked to my friend Jesus Pearly the other day, and I was asking him about sweetgrass. When do you harvest it? Where do you harvest it? Mm-hmm. It likes to be in places that are kind of damp, and not necessarily right out in the sun, but you can smell it before you see it. And I've done that many times. Your mother and I will be out on the bike, and she'll say, sweetgrass. You can smell it, but I can't identify it. I can't. It all looks like grass to me. I'm sorry. I know sweetgrass is a little more wider and maybe a little thicker and longer, and they actually take and they'll braid it. Native culture, our Aboriginal culture, will braid that, put it in your car. Oh, it smells so beautiful. And I'd like to do that somehow this summer. I could go to one of my friends up there and they would probably show me how to do it. And I would like that. Some braids are really long. They must have to, I don't know how long sweetgrass grows.
I don't even know how you braid grass, but.
Well, you have to have 3 braids and then you put because they're thicker. They're not like little small. They're a thick. So when you braid them, ask one of your Aboriginal friends when they come in, you're cutting their hair about sweetgrass. It's especially ones that know about that, that would be into their natural way of life, and it's awesome. But you could use sweetgrass. I had one called sage. So I had sweetgrass, cedarwood, and sage, and you could put them all 3 together, but they kind of overpower each other. They have their own fragrance. If you could make a beard oil out of that cedar wood, because it's all natural oils that they press it out. And if you could put that in some of that sage, or sage has a bit of a bitter smell. You could mix that with sweetgrass. You could do sweetgrass and sage and mix it together. Oh my, I may have to do that for you. I had in my cart one time jojoba oil and coconut oil, and I had all these oils together because I wanted to, when we were talking about the Bearded Jesus products,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, I said, you know what, I can explore and experiment for Chris and see, how to do, and I was watching videos and whatever.
Is
But
that how they really pronounce that? Jojoba? It's not
It's-
jojoba.
I call it jojoba, but I heard somebody call it jojoba. I have no idea. I mean, this is coming from a guy that I'm a cracker. I'm as white can be. In our first trip to Florida, I asked the front desk person if I could speak with Javier.
No way.
His name was Javier.
Javier.
Yeah, Javier.
Javier.
She's like, who? And I was like, Javier. I mean, I'm as country as cornbread when I don't have a clue. Now, I do call it tacos and jalapenos, not jalapenos. It's jalapenos. Whatever.
Yeah, so that's why that's a weird ask.
We should do that.
Get into beard oils and stuff.
We should try it.
Well, that's because your country is weird. But it's a cool idea to pursue. Maybe.
You would the setup.
That's the
But
setup. It's always
once you
the
do
setup.
the setup, those little tins, I was looking at
They'll
some
think
of
I'm
them.
cooking meth.
We could do it right out home.
I'll be in here cooking or something, have my hot plate, and they'll come in here and think I'm cooking meth. That's what it'll be.
What are you doing? Cooking, Matt. Give me 10 minutes, you can have a shot.
I'm sure it's simpler than you think, but
Cooking meth?
no, no.
You ever watch Breaking
Beard oil.
Bad? Oh, beard oil. I don't know. I never cooked meth.
If you ever do, let me know.
Nope. That's one thing you'll never see me cooking.
I'll talk to Bobby. Well,
We'll work out a deal. Beard oil and to that same subject, honeybee wax.
cat moisturizer. You know bald cats? You gotta moisturize them?
That makes sense.
Sphinx cats?
Yeah.
Because they get dry. They're like us, except they stink.
Do they really smell?
Yep. Because they sweat. Don't go nowhere. And they'll crap on your wall.
No.
Yeah, they'll get a turd stuck to their butt and then they'll go press against the wall.
No.
Yep.
We were down visiting. I said this probably in an earlier episode or when I were talking, visiting a friend one time down in Lower Queensbury or down below that way. And we were having supper, and I kept looking over because the neighbor's house was right next door, and there was this cat kept looking in the window, and I kept looking over at it. And it would pop up again, and it had the ugliest face and these pointy ears. And I kept looking, and finally Mike, it was down at Sheila, Mike catches, Mike said, "What are you looking at?" I said, "That's the ugliest cat I've ever saw." And he said, "Oh, that's my neighbor's cat. They breed them.
Yeah.
Those Sphinx cats or whatever, with no hair, hairless cat."
How much money they are?
I can't even imagine. I'm sure they're not cheap.
I think they're $3,000 a piece. Pretty sure.
Where do I get a Sphinx cat?
You gotta have your breeding license.
Yeah, no.
There's a guy locally here that tried that. He was breeding dogs, didn't have a license, and they come and took them all.
Oh no.
And it was hilarious. He come in and was talking to me about it. He said, "I don't know why they took my animals." He said, "I was just trying to breed them." And I think he had 20 dogs,
No.
puppies, plus, I don't know, 6 grown dogs just running
What's he
around.
feeding them pigs?
I don't know. Old school, that's what it is.
That's all. You never had to have that stuff years ago.
No.
Of course, people didn't care about. You want a dog? Get a dog. Go get yourself a Lassie dog. Go get yourself a German Shepherd. Go get yourself. We never had, at least where I come from, all these breeds.
Yeah, that's the city folk.
Coming in here to the country.
Europe. A lot of it was Europe.
I believe that.
They got them dogs bred for certain purposes. The Dachshunds they're for Rats. Somebody's car alarm's going off.
Just come in and come out. The thought slipped right off the top of my head.
You know, I had a boy in here the other day talking about how old 50 was.
It is old when you're young.
You talk about losing the thought. You know, that's a...
Well, at this age, you have to filter what goes in. You really got to filter what comes out. But you have to filter what goes in, because if you don't need it, you don't need to take up that space in your brain. Mm-hmm. I have people that will text me, for example, if I was selling something on Marketplace or whatever, and I oftentimes will give my number when they reach out to me. You can text me on this number. I don't put their name in my phone, because that's probably going to be a once and done transaction, and why do I need to keep that? Mm-hmm. And then there's numbers I wish I would have kept, and I didn't, because I didn't think I needed it, but I did. So anyway.
You know, on that topic there, I wondered that before, calling people, and if you compile a list of numbers, you have access to anywhere. I was thinking today, not today, I was thinking of, actually it's been a couple months now, but I bet at any point I could find anybody in New Brunswick by calling somebody. I know people in almost every town here in New Brunswick.
Sure.
In every corner in New Brunswick, and I bet I could locate the phone number. I'd have a friend, and then I bet I could do that.
You would find out everything about them and their dog's name.
Well, not so much that, just the contact.
Yeah.
Like you talk about the Premier and stuff. I bet I know people. I do know people that could have a direct connection to the Premier.
I have 2 numbers in my phone of former premiers and personal numbers that maybe might even be deactivated now because they're no longer. Probably. But I had some of them.
With great, what's that term? With great something comes great responsibility. Can't be just calling them all the time.
It's nice to give somebody your number, but don't abuse it.
I hate giving my number out.
I know, but
I'm going to be getting a shop phone here, so I don't have to do that.
Well, then there's no separation. Like people, the generations have changed so much. Like you pretty well knew, for example, my dad. He got off at 5 o'clock. And yes, people would call. There would be special circumstances where he would go work on a vehicle after hours. Mm-hmm. But that was not often. You work from 8 to 5. That was his 8 to 5 thing. And or whatever your shift is, whatever that is. But when you come home, the last thing that you want is, if you have a job where you can disconnect from that, is worrying about your phone all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Why are you calling me now? I'm not working. It could be a friend, or it could be not a friend, business. But people today, the boundary has kind of...
Ain't no boundary. And people are upset when there is a boundary. Mm-hmm. Which I understand, in a way.
I was speaking on this topic with another man in our church who has a tow company, and he said, his wife and I were talking, and Penny, we were all sitting around. And she said his phone is on 7/24 because he could get a call in the middle of the night. There's a truck rolled over. There's a whatever, I need to go. Mm-hmm. And she said he can't disconnect unless we fully leave. And he says, I'm gone for 3 days, or I'm gone for 5 days. And he has to leave his phone home because his phone will... I
hate that.
And when he gets back home, it'll be full of missed calls from this one, that one, about you.
For sure.
And she said he can't. And I said, I understand that.
That is the worst thing mentally.
We can't disconnect ever. You can, when you're home, you can never disconnect. And as a pastor, you can never disconnect. Mm-hmm. Even when we go on our cruises, Now, this time I didn't. I put my phone in the safe. That's where it stayed. I'm not interested. And it was the most freeing, awesome 4.5, 5 days of the whole year. If they needed to get a hold of somebody, Mama's phone was there. They can call her. They can reach out on Facebook, or something like that if there was an issue. However, I'm in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean right now. And if somebody unfortunately passes away, we'll have to wait till I get home. I'm not.
That's so funny, because even you go back to the Western days, you wouldn't go and call a pastor at night. Maybe the doctor if somebody was sick and they were in that sort of state, but I mean, if somebody passed, it was the next day. Oh, so-and-so passed in the night.
Yeah.
Got to bury him.
Convenience has helped make the world smaller, but it's also made the world more busy because with the cell phone now, everybody's got a mobile number. Text me, call me, Facebook me, DM me, whatever. So you're always connecting with somebody. Even through this conversation, I've had people texting, and I can't do anything till we're done. And it's good stuff, but still, you always get messages, you get emails, you get stuff. So you're always connected to that, which good pastors still need breaks. I don't mean this, but you want to be connected to your people. You want to.
You do,
You
that's right.
care. Early this morning, I had a gentleman reach out to me talking about some issues of life and things that he's going through and family and children and things. And I gave him back some sound advice at like 7 o'clock this morning. You know what? We're getting ready to start our day, and I don't mind that. But I want them to know that I'm reachable and I'm touchable, as far as I don't want to be the untouchable pastor that just crawls out to his office in the back of the church after church is done and doesn't see anybody. I get off the platform after preaching Sunday morning, and I wade myself down the aisle and out through the wave of people, and I usually sit at the back door and talk to people and laugh and joke and shake hands and whatever. You want to be connected.
I like the idea of having an office that you can set in and people can contact you there.
Yeah.
But I do have an issue with phones, and I think people need to start using them less. I think it's a terrible thing. Your generation, it was a blessing because you never had connection before.
Yeah.
Now we have too much, and it's the desire, or it's the standard, I guess. But it's a bad standard.
Yeah.
It's a really bad standard.
I've sent a message off text. They've read it. You can get a read receipt. And I get frustrated when they don't answer me right back, because what I had to ask was important. It probably wasn't.
Yeah.
Color toilet paper do you like? Whatever.
Important to you.
And they'll read it. No response. For hours. And I've been on that other end too, where I wrote the back and said, listen, I saw the text when it came through, but I've been busy all day long. I've been swamped with this. I guess you prioritize.
Yes.
You prioritize what's important. If somebody called and said, red alert, emergency, just broke my leg and I'm under the chainsaw, and you're going to go. But But if it was somebody calling about, do you like potatoes with gravy and I've had some of them. I'm like, whatever, I'll put butter, plain, I don't care. But prioritize.
Yep.
We triage them, if that's what you want to call it.
The triage, yeah.
But anyhow, that's so the truth. That's so true. And you're the same here. You have your phone number up on which goes to your receptionist. Also on your card goes to your receptionist. But with pastoring, and yes, if you're in a large church, sometimes when we were doing bookings and we were touring full time and we'd call churches, sometimes it was cold calls because you didn't know certain people. You would maybe use organizational connections or friend connections. Do you have one of the spiels that we got doing as a pastor or as an evangelist? We would, if a pastor liked what was going on, I would say, you wouldn't have a couple of contacts that they would really enjoy what we're doing, and we could go to their, yeah. Where I got a friend over in Texas, got a friend up in Oklahoma, got a friend. So I would use them connections, because then I would say, hey, I get your number from, so now we have credibility and we're starting, and it would work really well. But I've called churches before, and you get the receptionist. Welcome to New Life Church. Welcome to whatever church, Rock Church. Hi, this is so evangelist and singer, Southern Gospel. We're touring your area, and we'd love to be able to stop by and bless your church. And would there be somebody that I could connect with that would make this happen? Who are you, sir? And I get that. And then they would say, well, we'll put you through to our outreach pastor. But very rare would you get past the gatekeeper to get to the pastor. They're the gatekeeper. That's why they're there. And you would get put into another, I've had people reach out to me before and said, could we do this, or this? And I would say, I'm going to defer you to Chris, because Chris is in on that, whatever it is. I'll defer you to Chris and Ashley. They know more about this than I do. So why don't you work with them and figure some things out? And that's a pressure off of me. I understand that. But I love to get phone calls. No, I don't. I don't want to lie either. I like phone calls. And I don't. I would call the pastor or leave a message on his voicemail. Hey, same spiel. Bye. Never get a call back. Never get a burp. Never get, not even, nothing. And so I guess I understand that point too. So you need to have, but unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, we don't have a receptionist, because our church isn't that busy that we need to have a full-time receptionist there running the office day-to-day stuff yet. But I fully believe that there's a day coming.
There is.
Our assembly is exploding, and I said that to Mom last night. We have the most terrible, awesome problem happening in our assembly.
Yep. Access. I talk to businesses, in terms of the same thing you're talking about. The AI receptionist is important. I talked to a buddy, he's a plumber and a carpenter buddy, and they got the same issue where they need somebody to be there for them, but they can't hire a receptionist full time. This is why it's a benefit to me. For a church, you can't have that, though. That's not something that makes any sense. You need to have physical connection, or personal connection, rather.
Well, and a running, yeah. If you were in a church that had a full-time pastor and a full-time maybe assistant and a full-time secretary or administration, then, everybody kind of knows everybody's calendar. Chances are they're going to do a 9 to 3 office stuff, and then do things after. But on your case with your business and things, it's you book appointments through that receptionist, whereas that wouldn't work on the church. How we run anyway, our church. But
Doesn't make any sense.
how you going to do that,
They could go online and you could put their email in, and if they needed to have a meeting with the pastor, that could work that way. But
excuse me.
there's lots of ways you can do stuff. I got this set up here. I don't want to talk to people every hour of every day.
How can you and do your work? You can't.
If I had to do that, I'd have, what's the math on that? 20, 40? That would almost be 60 plus phone calls a week I'd be making to book people in. And that's just the ones that do want to book in, and not the ones that just want to waste your time.
And if you had 60 phone calls at 5 minutes, which is, some might be longer or shorter, that's 300 minutes, which is 2 hours plus. 190, 180. Oh, yeah.
Easy.
It would be a half hour, 45 minutes almost a day. Really.
Yep.
Because you got to find the number, what are they booked in for, or receiving it. I can't. I can't even imagine like people that are owning their own business and they have to still field the phone calls while they're trying to build a roof. You know, where they're trying to. They have to.
It's important to have accessibility in some areas, but some areas you need to remove that.
Yeah.
That's what. There was a big business owner said that. One of the dudes on Shark Tank
Yes.
had two phones, one that was personal, one for business. And you gotta have your time.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah.
Serious.
I've saw friends of mine that are that way too. Like they have a business phone. Usually, a larger pastor in a church would have a business phone that he would be able to get and his personal call, his personal phone too, and whatever. But we're not that busy that, and it's important.
Yeah, you are. It just depends on your ideas. If you want people all the time to be messaging your personal phone, that's different. If you'd prefer them to have to call another phone,
Yeah.
you can have a phone dedicated just to your own life. When you turn it on, you're not expecting to get calls or texts about anything garbage.
We blurred that line long ago.
Yeah.
I've had that same phone number for a long time, 15
You
years.
could change it. You could keep that as your work phone and have your own personal phone.
Yeah, I could, but and you know what? Your clientele here need to know that you're accessible, that you're reachable, that you're there. You know, you have various ways of reaching them. We do too. I always want our people to know that I'm, number one, I'm approachable, and number two, I'm reachable. If you need me for anything. Look, the day-to-day stuff, you know, I'm not going to come down and burp them, or I'm not going to, you know, I love our people.
Yep.
And I do visit. And I'm building a church. We're building a church, so I can't just visit the saints every week. I have to visit people who are non-churched people
Yep.
in order to get them to become churched people. So when I'm out and about and I'm visiting the community, I always, if one of our people are close, I stop in for a 5-minute, hey, how are you today? What's going on? Look, I was just over to visit so-and-so. I'm encouraged with it, whatever, and just keep moving.
I'm not good at doing that.
But everybody has a strength and a weakness and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You have other strengths in other areas or other things, which I know nothing about and want to know nothing about, or at least minimal, just enough to get by. But your strengths that's okay. But I watch you in here stationary and people are coming to you. And I watch you deal with them in the chair, and it's fantastic. So you have that personality to deal with people. And they love you because you're you're real. Real attracts real.
Yep.
And it will repel fake. I've said that for years. And if they know that you're real and they're real, they're going to come in here and have the time of their life.
It's not fun talking to people that ain't real.
No.
You know the whole time that they're hiding something, but they just don't want to show it. That's a weird feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to the point now that I'll just ask people, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
What? What's on your mind? And then they'll either say, oh, nothing, I'm just thinking.
Well, even our beginning conversations in here, I always you have to have a buffer conversation before you can get to the real, which happens with every client I get in. It's always them. They'll come in here not prepared to talk, so they're, oh, how's the weather today? Or they'll come up with some, I don't want to call it stupid, but it's a kind of a stupid conversation before you actually get to something important.
That's just a common human, there's a guard up. So you'll talk about that which is common. Yeah, it looks like the sun might come out a little bit later today. But as they sit and they get comfortable in your presence, and pretty soon that may come down or it may not.
It's about 7 minutes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
that you start talking, depending on the person, but you start talking, and I can get a person to have an actual conversation with me in about 7 minutes.
Wow.
It just depends on. It depends on them, what type of day they're having, you know.
I sat in a barber chair years ago. It was a lady. She was fantastic. She doesn't do it now, but. And the last cut I got must have not been the greatest or whatever. Because, I mean, whatever. And I remember she asked me, how did you like the last, or, you know, how? And I just said, it was terrible. What?
The last what?
The last haircut that I got from her. Like, how did it? I said, it was terrible. It was unmanageable. I don't know what in the world happened. I don't know what it was even. But I remember being at that, and this has been years ago. It was so honest and raw that I could have hurt her feelings, you know, had I not have said, but hair grows back and I'm here again. So let's get her done, you know, maybe whatever I was going through, there was an emotional, maybe I was under stress, because normally I'm very jovial. You know what? It was whatever. But that's also developed over the years. You don't just develop I call it like water off a duck's back attitude. You know, things just have to shed off. You have to develop that because it's hard. You know, you deal with people. People can be rude.
Oh, yeah. They don't mean to sometimes.
We just talked about this with Monica, local business manager right up the road here at a canteen, and customer service sometimes is brutal. Working for especially food industry, because people are already hungry.
Yep.
They don't think about going to dinner at noon because whatever, they get hungry and say, let's go have dinner.
It's an age bracket too. I find it's the kids and the old people that are the issues.
Yes.
Because the kids don't care about you. They just are thinking about the food. The old people don't care about anything. They're just hungry.
The seniors are hungry.
Then the middle age.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, and that's by person, but in general, that's what I find. And the people in the middle age bracket do tend to care because they've got their own jobs. They've got to show out to the world or something like that.
Monica said they always blame the server.
They do.
They blame the server for being closed yesterday. They blame the server because it's too cold. They blame the server because it's undercooked. They blame the server because it's overcooked. They blame the server because they were too long getting to their table. They blame the server because the table wasn't clean. They blame... And she said, after a while, I've just had to learn to say, sorry about that. Hope your day gets better, you know, or whatever. Because they... And I've gone to a restaurant. I've been hungry. And now I'm hangry.
Yep.
I'm sitting down. Can I take your order? Yep. I'd like to have whatever. And I'll still try to keep that.
You have trouble with that.
Semi-jovial conversation. Hey, thank you for coming. And then what? But once I get eaten, I feel so much better.
That is probably the worst thing that you have issue with. If you're not in a good emotional state, you don't have any way to treat people proper. And mom's the same way. Mom's worse, especially. Like if she's mad, doesn't matter who she's talking to, she's going to be mad.
It's probably being real. I don't know. What do you call that?
I don't know. I get the same from you, though. I try my best, but it's hard when you feel a certain way and you have to put on a face to others. I find that you have a worse time than me, though.
I do have a hard time with that, and I try not to. Because Joe Blow down the street could have just ripped a strip off of me for whatever. Or, I don't know, whatever has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mornings, if I'm thrown into something in the mornings, I have to have my coffee. And I can go about it. But it takes me a little while.
You know
We all
what?
have something to work on.
I think that's down to expectations, though. In the morning, if you're thrown into something and you're all upset, it's mostly because your schedule's all messed up. You have your expectation. I'm going to get up, do this, do this. And if somebody calls and say, hey, there was a death, you come over and see the family, then you got to interrupt all that. And especially men, you got to put yourself in a new headspace. You know what would help, though? Moisturizer.
We need moisture. Give me more. I could use a good moisturizer. But you know what? You have to be careful. I have to be careful. Even, I was going to say flavored soap. Even scented soaps, even though they say we have one at home right now. It's supposed to be all natural, and it's pomegranate sage. It's my
Natural.
favorite smell.
Is that the one that Mrs. Robinson makes?
No,
Okay.
no. This comes from a big box company from supposed to be all natural products.
All natural, my goodness.
But when I use it, like you're washing your hands in here a lot through the day. You wear your gloves now, but before you're always washing your hands. A doctor, whatever, is always washing their hands, nurses, and your hands get so dry because you're stripping away that natural oil, and you got to put. So I have at home some of Suds Divine, Anne Marie's lavender hand cream.
Yep.
It's fantastic. And I put that on, and I don't know if she's made it if there's any bear balm in that one or not, but that softens at night, especially before I go to bed. And as you age, you lose the elasticity in your skin, but I'm working with my hands every day. And silly me, I don't always wear gloves, so I get
There's a lot of things you don't do.
yeah right here. That's just old calluses, and that just gets filled with dirt and grease and grit and grime but when I put the lotion on, it's so moisturizer. We need moisturizer here.
It'd be nice
Style,
if
Freedom
you
Edge.
could do that to people's emotions, to their personalities. That'd be so great.
Give them some moisturizer.
Some people are awful. You said that before. Give them 20 cents, they can go buy a new personality or whatever.
Let me take you to Walmart so we can go buy you a new personality.
Some people got some bad
I
ones.
said that to somebody one day. That
You
wasn't
did.
nice.
Maybe they needed it though.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't treat me like yesterday's news, whoever it was. I was at a drive-through. By the way, these are not a sponsor. It is what it is. I was at a drive-through and she was and now, that being said, maybe the car in front of me, and then I was the one receiving the backlash. And I said, how about you hop in the car and we take you to Walmart and get you a new personality? Well, that was rude.
Yep.
Shouldn't have said that. What I should have said was, and that was years ago. What I should have said was, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Mm-hmm. And it's not right whatever happened to you. Or maybe it was right, but I've learned to be more conscious about people's feelings now when I see them. And I'm talking with them, and I can tell that they've just been through the ringer. And if I see a break in the conversation, I'll drift to that. Is everything okay?
This is a little unrelated, but I find simple people or people that aren't, I don't know how to say that. People that ain't as intelligent, I guess you could say, sometimes lower IQ, they tend to have a better idea of people's personalities. Or not their personalities, but their emotions. They tend to understand them better. I don't know why that is.
There are people that I have met on different ends of intelligence. Can I say it that way? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
really high and then really, I find that from the medium or average down to a lower intelligence. I don't know how to say that without sounding so rude.
Yeah, it sounds pretty mean.
Their life is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a beautiful bird out there. Let's go see it. And they chill and they take the beauty of life in. Then further, and the more you know.
Yep.
And I think that's what it boils down to is the more that you know, the more that you've learned, the more that you've experienced and been caught up in that whole cycle of burn and be burned, type thing as then the more pressure, because once you know the truth of whatever that is, you know the truth. Whatever it could be, a conspiracy theory, it could be, are there aliens, are there whatever. But the more that I said that to Mama different times. I wish when I was recovering from my sickness, Guillain-Barré syndrome, they had me on a pill called duloxetine. Duloxetine is prescribed in many cases when you first go into long-term care in a hospital. Mm-hmm. Mine was twofold. Number one was because of my nerve pain that I was experiencing, so it minimizes the nerve pain. However, it's an antidepressant. I was level. I mean, nothing bothered me.
Yeah.
When you have nursing staff, which were fantastic to me, but I mean, they're doing literally everything for you because you cannot move. You're an in-care patient. Mm-hmm. I would talk about everything. Wouldn't have a stitch on, and the room would be full of nurses, and they'd be doing this, doing that, and we'd be talking about life and babies and things and just. But I was level. And then when I got off of that, which I it's been a few years ago now, but when my doctor weaned me off of it because it's an addictive pill.
Oh, yeah.
When they weaned me off of that, I remember one day we were driving down the road, and I tell the story and people think I'm crazy, but it's true. We were driving down the road right around Nakawick-ish area, between there and Fredericton somewhere. And it was like this fog just went, and it lifted off of me. And I was driving the car, and I looked over at your mother, and I said, Penny, I'm back. So the real me, I wasn't, and it took however many weeks of weaning me off of that, and then it was working its way out of my system. And I know people think it, but it just lifted. I said, I'm back, hon. I will now be your protector. I will be the one in charge of taking care of because she had to step into that role and protect me and protect you guys and whoever else while we were all, and I remember stepping back into that, and it just happened. So I lost that level where nothing really kind of bothered me to here I am again. and life takes over, and you get responsibilities, and you deal with customers. I deal with, I don't want to call them customers, but if you're looking at it as a business, and our customers, our church saints. Members, saints in the church, they all have problems, and they want to share with me, mm-hmm. and I love to help them carry that to Jesus. I do. That's my job. But now I don't just have what I'm carrying as a dad, a husband, whatever. I also have those pastoral stresses now. I'm worried about this one because they just called and said, Jehovah, this one of my family members has just had a stroke and this is going on, or this is happening, or we just got a bad report, or I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and Sally just fell over and broke her leg. Like, there's all of these things that are coming at me steady. And our church is growing, but I want them to know that I'm accessible and I'm there. I may not be on their doorstep every day, but when they call me, and they need me, there's an issue, there's an emergency, there's a situation, I'm there until it's over.
Yep.
And then I'm there for the duration to help them. But, yeah, that's how we went from lower to higher intelligence. Where am I at? I want to be in the middle there somewhere.
Yep.
I would like to be able to enjoy life a little bit and smell the coffee, roses.
Well, speaking of enjoying coffee, we got to end off today. Thank you for joining Beyond the Roar. Thank you for talking with us and listening with us.
Pardon me.
Making fun of us as we make fun of others accidentally.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Unrelated, but I was going through an episode and I posted it. I think it went up today at 8. But we tried to end off one episode and I said, this is Beyond the Roar. And you said, wait a minute, I got something else to say. And then you talked for 15 minutes.
I remember that.
That
wasn't
was
very
wild.
long ago.
But we'll be back next week at 8 a.m. Come back every week. We're going to do our best. We may eventually even change our seating position because we gotta start recording at a different date, a different day of the week. We'll see what happens, but stick with us and check us out on Facebook, YouTube, any place you can find us.
Like and share. Hit the notification bell on YouTube.
We'll see you next time.